Good evening, everyone, and welcome to day number 134 on the update in Ukraine tonight. Lots of folks jumping in here, and I know people have already been calling my wife and me going, is your head okay after the Boris Johnson day? And it is. I'm saddened because I really like that guy. But I'm not a Brit, and I do not understand all of the internal infrastructure of British government. I understand American government pretty well, definitely. Ukrainian government, Russian/Soviet, but not well versed. That's why, of course, we have Malcolm Beals as a part of our community. So, Don Gentilini, as always, you're so kind with your comments. Much appreciated, sir. Ricochet, welcome to you. Lynn Fireball, Mr. Baseball Harold down there. Malcolm Beals, good morning to you in rocky Great Britain this morning. And I'm not talking about the coast. Amy Rowderbush, Anita Grilleski checking in from Jamestown, PA. Roe Gammon, God bless you. Jeffrey Burnett, Forest Hill, California. Absolutely beautiful place. I've been there many times. Thank you for your moderation. Big help. Rita Berryman, Rick Berry, God bless you. Nate Fody checking in. Down the hill from Jeffrey Burnett. I think you're in Vacaville. Paul Kiss, resident Canadian, Pennsylvania. Eric Wood checking in from the metropolis of Elizabeth City, North Carolina. So going to be a very, very full night. I do see some of you guys over here on Facebook, Larry and Debbie checking in from Florida, waiting for the liberation of Ukraine and God's saints. Amen. Patricia Shove, God bless you there. And everyone, it's very nice to have you in here tonight. We do have a full update. As you saw the title of the program, it's called Back in the U.S.S.R. Shirley Phelps, Washington State, welcome to you. So I would say it this way in Russian, Добро пожаловать в наш Советский Союз. Welcome back to our Soviet Union, and that's what we're going to talk about. So, folks, thank you for being here. Much appreciated, and welcome to you all. Full night. I can tell you we're day 134, and Zhenya is on the road. He'll be with us soon. He's doing just fine, and missions are being accomplished. As last 11 days, I've done this. Basically focused on the major strike of the day. I won't list them all to save time, but you've been with me watching them. But we'll go from 8. It was over in Slavyansk, 9 to Kharkiv, 10 Kharkiv, 11 Kramatorsk last night, smashed, but as well Kharkiv. So I really wanted to put 11 on Kharkiv and Kramatorsk. But both of those cities are still under major bombardment, and we will be talking about them more. Now, last night I was telling you that Russia is able to rotate their troops out of Severodonetsk and Lysychansk and try to begin to move them around to support other movements. Some of them will rest, replenish. Others have moved on toward Liman, Izum, or down toward Bakhmut. So the question logically would be, what happens when the Russian military rotates out of a city? For example, let's just call Severodonetsk and Lysychansk, those twin cities there, 100,000 population each. What happens? Well, Yakut riot police come in, or riot police from other cities. But I can tell you that in Severodonetsk and Lysychansk, the riot police from Yakut. Where is Yakut? Siberia, 5,000 kilometers away over in eastern Russia. They are there. There's a picture of them on the left. They got their Z, and they're there not to fight war, but they are there to keep the peace. So I want to give you a couple of updates to get going. We're going to be like in hyperdrive tonight because I have so much, and you do not want to miss it, especially when we get to the end talking about welcome back to the Soviet Union. I have words from Putin today you're not going to believe. But before that, one more look at Severodonetsk. Here you go.
The Russian occupiers are attempting to resume the work of the markets and educational management in Severodonetsk. However, it is practically impossible to do so in the ruins left by Russian shelling. Now about 8,000 civilians remain in the city, local authorities say.
Unfortunately, in the next few months, life in the city and the lives of those people left there will be somewhere at a caveman level. Yes, it is possible to replace the electricity with generators, but to restore the central water supply, the central sewerage system with ruined sewerage treatment facilities, well, probably without returning under the control of Ukraine, it is definitely impossible.
Russian troops launched a missile attack on Toretsk, Donetsk region. A family, 3 civilians were killed. They were under the rubble of destroyed building.
The rocket hit right in this house. Everything is torn up. All the corpses are torn up. The daughter, the mother and the grandmother. Innocent of anything at all. If they were sleeping, they probably felt nothing.
Another missile hit close to a social facility, but did not explode. And this is the central street in Mariupol occupied by Russian troops. No one lives here anymore. The Russian occupiers are beginning to demolish the residential buildings they destroyed.
Mariupol, the first completely demolished building on 59 Troitska Street. People were not given time to pack their belongings. Demolition without warning. The Mariupol residents were deprived of the last. There are no words, only rage. Petro Andrushenko, advisor to the mayor of Mariupol.
Russian troops shelled the Dnipropetrovsk region with cluster munitions the night before. A number of people were wounded.
In the evening, the enemy shelled the Senelkovo district using multiple rocket launch systems. They hit the Pokrovsky territorial community. 3 people were wounded, one of them is in a serious condition. A fire broke out at a local agricultural enterprise. Russian troops had been targeting the Kryvyi Rih district since early morning. There were 6 attacks from different weapons. Valentina Reznichenko, head of the Dnipropetrovsk Regional Military Administration.
They also attacked the Odessa region with missiles. However, the missile was shot down by Ukrainian air defense forces. Meanwhile, the city and the region have already begun to actively prepare for the new academic year.
The final data, which concerns the educational process in each institution of the Odessa region, will depend only on the security situation and will be ready in early August.
There was an explosion near the railway station in Kherson occupied by Russian troops. Afterwards, a fire broke out at one of the enterprises. An advisor to the head of the Kherson Regional Military Administration, Serhiy Khlan, said that the explosion destroyed an ammunition depot of the Russian troops. Operational Command South reports that the armed forces of Ukraine have eliminated 38 soldiers of the Russian army, 1 T-62 tank, 2 120 caliber mortar systems, 2 armored vehicles and 4 units of automobile equipment.
In the evening, during the air battle, enemy fighter jets launched 2 air-to-air cruise missiles against our aircraft. Our aircraft were not damaged, but the Russian Su-35 was forced to leave the airspace and retreated.
Reported by Roman Smoler, Mariana Krechet, UA TV News.
So there you have it. That's a really good summary, and that's why I rolled it in. Here's what you basically see: the entire east and south under constant attack, whether it's cruise missiles, shelling, cluster munitions. The other thing that you see in that is, as we already know, we're just going to continue to confirm it. In fact, I'm going to show you a couple of things tonight. It's indiscriminate targets. They don't care. Rick Barry, you a prophet. The other thing at the end of that video that was very interesting was this. Ukraine gave the update on what they were hitting. Military targets, tanks, munition dumps, armored vehicles. 134 days, same thing. Russia, terror, Ukraine trying to defend their sovereign territory. Now, I want to move over to, actually, before I do that, Yakut riot police. I do have about a 20-second clip from Sergei Gadai. That is the Ukrainian Lugansk governor. Even though Lugansk has fallen to Russia, and I'm talking about the entire region, he's still in power in Ukraine's eyes. It's just occupied. And maybe that will help you guys understand. During that last video clip you saw, it said the mayor of Mariupol. I thought Mariupol is Russian. Wouldn't the mayor be under Russian occupation? Wouldn't he be Russian? Sure, they've got their own occupied government, but Ukraine doesn't recognize that. Even though the mayor's gone, he's still the mayor because it's still Ukraine. It's not Russia. The territory is occupied. That is why when you read things or you see things on here, it's very interesting because if you don't understand it, you get confused a little bit. No reason to be confused. These are Ukrainian elected officials. Even though they're not there and not in power, according to Ukraine and the rest of the world, they are still in power. So that's what that means. Now, with that said, here's goodbye. 23 seconds. I think Rick Berry said it here. Yakut police are there not to keep the peace, but to silence the oppressed. A far cry from liberate the oppressed. Yep. And I'm going to prove that statement. Always love to give my friend Gani King a shout out. Good morning to you, my friend there in Manila. Beautiful Philippines. All right. So here we're going to validate Yakut police.
В Кремінні на сьогоднішній день настільки терор, що навіть, ну так говорять, ми поки що шукаємо підтвердження, але що декого навіть розстріляли просто на вулиці. Допомагають в цьому росіянам місцеві колаборанти, оті ждуни руського міра, які реально здають людей з проукраїнською позицією, навіть, ну, як би мовити, за руку підводять до квартир чи їх.
So here's what you have. You have, now that is Kremina. Kremina is an occupied city, large city, completely destroyed. And of course, whether they're from Yakut or from Omsk or from Vladivostok or wherever they're from, there are police units there that are now maintaining order. And in an occupied city today, a person was just shot and killed in the street. What else do you need to know? He then mentions local collaborators. Yes, it's a war. That's called traitors. Benedict Arnold's helping. So no bueno there. Now, I want to go to this comment. Right here. Boom. America and Europe are reaping the cost of not stopping Russia earlier and becoming dependent on gas and oil from our adversary. We are living in Ezekiel 38:39 when Russia and Turkey work together. I could not agree more. Now, I see another comment, and we try to stay off our politics, but we need to talk about it here. Biden, 5 million barrels of our oil reserves to China. So back to the Don Giannolini comment. Many of you watching here, you may not be connected to church at all. You hear because I have Zhenya, we have the translation, we give you stuff in English. You're able to understand the war, and you've chosen to become a part of this community to stay up to date with the war and also help us in our effort to fund humanitarian aid, military aid, and do all the things that we do. And for that, we say thank you. But the Ezekiel 38:39 reference is a reference to the war when the north will descend. They will be dragged down to Israel, and their God Almighty will defeat them supernaturally. But that is from the north, a coalition of nations, and they come to Israel. There's something you need to pay attention to. Go read it. To plunder Israel. What is plunder? Economics, money, oil, gold, whatever it may be. I don't know, but I know it's economically related. That's what plunder is. So with that said, breaking out the big King James version tonight. All right, I love that, dude. The family Bible is getting dusted off tonight, folks. Jeff Burnett, watch out, Forest Hill. So let's go here. Next story. You helped lead me into it. To be or not to be, that is the question. Turkey detains the Jivek Jole. That's the name of the ship, loaded with Ukrainian stolen grain. Then Turkey releases. After that, the ship turns off its transponder. Nobody knows where it's at. Of course, satellites know where it's at, but people don't know where it's at off of a transponder. Turkey ambassador now called to Kyiv to explain what is Turkey doing. Once again, we have a disaster. Whether it's Germany or Turkey, France and Italy, I do not trust them as far as I can throw them. I'm thankful for the good things that they do. Please do not misunderstand me. But there's something goofy going on in these nations, and we see demonstrations of that in situations like this. Now, folks, Boris Johnson resigns. I know you already know this. I won't belabor it. I will show you this. Here he is.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you. It is clearly now the will of the Parliamentary Conservative Party that there should be a new leader of that party and therefore a new Prime Minister. And I've agreed with Sir Graham Brady, the chairman of our backbench MPs, that the process of choosing that new leader should begin now.
So he resigns. He's staying in position until he is replaced. We'll talk about that in 1 second. Who will replace him? I'm sure Malcolm Bills may jump in here, but I'll tell you what I know. Here's the deal. You know, none of us, only Malcolm, unless there are other citizens of Great Britain in here, can actually speak about this. So I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert on British culture and government. I'm not. Here's what I do know, though. Boris Johnson was a friend to Ukraine. Boris Johnson stood up for what's right. Boris Johnson was bold as a lion in the face of the evil dictator Putin. Boris Johnson was the first prime minister level person to visit Kyiv. And the list can go on. It makes me sad that we lose that voice. And I literally mean that voice. Walking down the streets of Kyiv with President Zelensky, shaking hands with citizens and accepting gifts from people that would just walk up and say, here's a plate. That's Ukrainian culture and Ukrainian generosity. And it just is painful that we lose that boldness and that Ronald Reagan-ness. I'm sorry, I'm a Ronald Reaganite. That Ronald Reagan-ness in just how he communicates. So, Boris, you will be missed. I can tell you he was invited to come to Kyiv, so he may go there. Now, many times I've shown you Podolyak. Podolyak responded to this out of President Zelensky's office. And, of course, who was the first person Boris Johnson called? His friend, President Vladimir Zelensky. Here's Podolyak speaking about Boris Johnson.
Знаєте, складні часи – це завжди можливість всім проявити себе в найгірших чи в найліпших якостях свого характеру. Складні часи – це можливість відмовитись від стереотипів, від того, що вчора ще було нормальним, як нам здавалось. На жаль, оця вся нормальність вчорашнього дня, оця вся реалполітик привела до того, що монстр проявив свої найгірші риси. Монстр прийшов в суверенну державу і почав тут все руйнувати і масово вбивати людей. Пан Джонсон – людина, яка відразу почала називати речі своїми іменами, яка відразу запропонувала з глобальній політиці змінити принципи і стати більш відповідальною, набагато більш відповідальною. І не робити вигляд, що це якась маленька конфліктна ситуація. І сьогодні ми маємо все, що нам потрібно для ефективної оборони країни. Це і зброя, і партнерство, і коаліція. І саме завдяки пану Джонсону ми розуміємо, що перемога – це дійсно символ майбутнього в Україні. Перемога буде за нами, тому що цивілізований світ повністю на проукраїнських позиціях. І саме тому ми дуже вдячні нашим партнерам, пану Джонсону, за те, що маємо можливість ефективно виконувати свою роботу.
There you have it. That is Mikhail Podolyak, and he said it right. Mr. Johnson was the first one to call a spade and to mobilize the global community to the reality of this war. So, Mr. Johnson, thank you. Now, who's going to replace him? Now, I know Malcolm Bills will get me if I'm wrong, so here we go. Here are the two leading candidates. And I know we talk about Ukraine in here, but Great Britain, this is so important. Leading candidates to replace Boris Johnson are in the number one spot, Ben Wallace, the Secretary of Defense, and in the second spot, Liz Truss, the Foreign Secretary. Now, I will tell you this. Those two people right there, they're lions as well. They have ripped Russia. They have ripped Putin. They want to continue the relationship and support the war. They understand the cost of what is happening. And I'll tell you what, they also, both of those, Ben Wallace and Liz Truss, have called a spade a spade. So here's the deal. I hope it's one of these two. I'm assuming it's going to be Ben Wallace. He's the Secretary of Defense. And if it's not Ben Wallace, hopefully it will be Liz Truss, because from there, I think, in my opinion, from what I've read, and I could be wrong, we go downhill pretty quickly. All right, tactical update. Quite a bit of tactics I want to share with you tonight and give you an update on tactically what is happening. Number one there, the Zaporozhye region, and the number two, of course, in the east with Kramatorsk and Slavyansk. Now we'll zoom in a little bit. I want to start at the bottom with the blue circle, bottom left. It's Mykolaiv under constant bombardment. There will be a large battle unless Ukraine continues to push back into Kherson. Secondly, you see the nuclear power plant symbol. You guys know that place if you've been in here. It's Energodar. It is the Zaporozhye Nuclear Power Plant, ZNPP for short. The number one or number two largest nuclear power plant, not in Ukraine, but in all of Europe. And Russia, I've told you this for months, is using it as a military base. They have their rocket launchers around it. It is completely protected because, of course, Ukraine cannot fire at those weapons of war in case there was a mistake and the nuclear power plant was struck. The nuclear power plant is not shut down. It's fully functioning. And you also know Ukrainians have to work it, the scientists, and they're under complete control by the Russian military. It's a horrible situation. But Zaporozhye is being fired upon from that location. To the right of that, you see this long black arrow coming in. Yesterday, I got video out of Mariupol. Just don't have time to show everything, or we'd be on here for hours. Large convoys of military equipment coming through Mariupol out of Rostov-on-Don, out of Russia, into Ukraine, headed over to Melitopol, and then up into the eastern side of Zaporozhye. There will be a major push for Zaporozhye. As we get closer to that, of course, I will teach you and show you about Zaporozhye. But I can tell you, been there many, many times. Large city, over 1 million people, Zaporozhye. So now move to the right. You see the blue highlighted area. That's basically the remainder of the Donetsk region. This will be the focus of the war front out of Russia from the southeast. They will push to try to get the remainder of Donetsk. The first target is going to be Bakhmut from the south. Go up just a little bit north. I have the black semicircle there. Why do I have that there? Because it was just a few weeks ago that was the pinch. Remember, we were talking about the pinch. Well, now the pinch is not Severodonetsk and Lysychansk and Zolota. It's occupied. Now the pinch, Slavyansk, Kramatorsk, Bakhmut. There has been a significant push. Then, of course, Kharkiv, non-stop bombardment. In fact, last night I was telling you that while we were online, Kharkiv was being bombarded and cruise missile strikes striking civilian targets. Well, today we found out what one of those targets were. It was the Pedagogical University in Kharkiv, a school destroyed.
This is a direct hit. As we can see, the epicenter fell on the middle of the building. The walls were destroyed.
This is how the central building of Kharkiv Pedagogical University looks like now. It was one of the largest of all the university buildings. The Faculty of Literature, the Scientific Library, the museum and lecture halls were located here. Now it's all in ruins.
Постраждали навчальні аудиторії, хол.
The classroom and the hall were damaged. Of course, our yard. We used to hold official initiation and graduation ceremonies for our students there. And our biggest loss is the monument to Hrihori Savich Skovoroda. It is completely destroyed. For us, of course, this is a huge destruction of the university.
Russian missiles hit the building of Grigory Skovoroda Kharkiv National Pedagogical University on the night of July 6th. Half of the central building is completely destroyed. The windows in the rest of the buildings were blown out.
The fire broke out. Rescuers arrived at the scene and promptly extinguished it. In total, 10 units of equipment and approximately 50 personnel of the State Emergency Service worked at the scene.
While removing the rubble of concrete structures, rescuers found the body of a 40-year-old watchman. The sappers were also looking for explosives that might have not detonated during the hit. The police officers were also on the scene. They collected evidence of a war crime committed by Russian troops.
На кожному боєприпасі, кожному артилерійському снаряді, ракеті.
Each munition, each artillery shell or missile has its item marking. It will give us an understanding of where it came from, where it was made. It is data for further notice of suspicion.
All this evidence will form the basis of criminal proceedings on the fact of violating the rules and principles of warfare. Reported by Marina Stepanenko, Natalia Husak, Andrei Domovy, UATV News.
So there you have it, the major military target, university in Kharkiv. It's just ridiculous, folks. But of course, they're firing basically a lot of poorly guided to unguided missiles from Soviet era. And I know they're older, but it doesn't matter. They demolish, as we can see, indiscriminately. The last thing, upper left, 22%, was about a week ago, where Russia was occupying 20% of Ukrainian dirt, and today it's 22%. That means Ukraine is holding on to 78% of its territory. It's a lot. And I mean a lot that Russia has. Now, I want to go back and thank you, Mr. Malcolm Bills. This is an international community. I, too, am sad to see him go. And, folks, this is from a citizen of Great Britain. Everything the UK promised to Ukraine is guaranteed. The UK's commitment to Ukraine is unwavering. So said Ben Wallace, who, as you say, is one of the favorites, even with the OU there. Love it, my friend. Thank you. So we're pretty accurate. We're pretty accurate here and very happy about it. Not Boris, but come on, Mr. Wallace. Let's see what'll happen there. So we'll learn a lot more about that in days to come. And I'm sure our ears on the ground there will keep us updated. Now, tactical number 3, Belarus. Map on the left is Belarus. The lower red shaded area is the northern border of Ukraine, and that is where 7 battalions are just sitting there. Most importantly today, Belarus extended the closure of its airspace from 0 meters up to, it was like 20 some thousand meters, which 60,000 feet. Unless you're a spy plane or some high-tech military plane, you're not flying 60,000 feet anyway. A fighter jet can, but not commercial. But it's closed, so nothing there. And of course, that is so Russia can run the gauntlet there free. That continues, and their extension date on that is through October. Now, another tactical update for you. Many people came out yesterday, both sides, pro-Russia, pro-Ukraine, and were saying, listen, we do not have any proof about Snake Island. Everyone keeps saying that Snake Island is occupied by Ukraine, and we've heard about the flag waving, but nobody has seen it. Okay, here you go.
Зміни знов підняти прапор України. Цей прапор так само буде піднятий і на півострові. Півострів також був наш і завжди буде нашим. Слава Україні! Героям слава! Перемога український! Ми повернемо вас, будь ласка, український! Слава Україні! Слава захисникам Азовсталі!
So there you have it. Anybody wondering if it really happened? It happened, and Ukraine is in charge. Now, going back, last thing, blue circle there in the middle on the right, above the X, that's Kramatorsk. Kramatorsk right now has become probably, other than Kharkiv, the hottest spot. Kramatorsk metro, about 175,000 people. This is not a small city. It's a big city, and it's a very important city. And they are being blasted. Cruise missiles, shelling, cluster munitions, and I have a little bit of video out just so you can see it. This is Kramatorsk. Now, I will tell you, there was a fatality. There's really not any speaking in this. A little bit. I'll translate it for you. And the fatality is, it's nothing overly graphic. You've seen much worse. It's the results. That is an air raid siren going off.
В своей квартире, да?
А голова? Глупая ниже. Тоже живет. А на голове тоже рассечена? Нет.
А что знаете о погибшем? Где-то в этом доме он живет, да?
What do you know about the guy that was killed over
А что я
there?
могу сказать? Сосед мой с первого этажа.
Он на улице, наверное, был, да? Или
He was
это...
just outside and he was struck and killed. So there you have it. It's just very, very sad, folks. 24/7, nonstop. Ricochet, rather, General Staff of the AFU stated that Belarus transferred airfield in the Gomel region under full control of Russia, and currently their activities to equip Russian military base. 100%. Here's the deal. There's a lot of inflow coming into Belarus. Now, that's a really good setup for where we're going. Thank you for that, Ricochet. We're all working together. On the day that Boris Johnson resigns, coming off of last night's program when I was sharing with you guys the Putin plan, which is global destabilization, I'm completely convinced of that. It's obvious. Last couple of things I want to show you tonight. The first one, Putin makes bold statements to the world on the same day Boris Johnson resigns, becomes a little destabilized there in Great Britain. Germany is squawking a little bit, backing up on their promise of equipment, military equipment. And Turkey can't figure out whose side they're on. At the same time, looks like America's selling oil to China. And I think Russia's selling oil to China in India. I'm just looking. It's complete observation. On this day, Putin makes bold statements to the world. Now, he is addressing parliament leaders today, July the 7th. And folks, I've got Putin translated for you. Speaking to the leaders of parliament, of course, it was broadcast to the entire country on TASS, TASS. You will see it. It'll look like TACC to you, but it's actually TASS. And of course, to the world, he makes a couple of statements today. I'll let you gather your opinion on them.
Слышим сегодня, что мы начали войну на Донбассе, на Украине. Нет. Ее развязал этот самый коллективный Запад, организовав и поддержав на Украине антиконституционный вооруженный переворот в 2014 году, а затем поощряя и оправдывая геноцид в отношении людей на Донбассе. Вот этот самый коллективный Запад и есть прямой зачинщик, виновник того, что сегодня происходит. Если этот самый Запад хотел спровоцировать конфликт для того, чтобы перейти к новому этапу борьбы с Россией, к новому этапу сдерживания нашей страны, то можно сказать, что это в известной степени удалось. И война развязана, и санкции введены. Сегодня мы слышим, что нас хотят победить на поле боя. Ну, что здесь скажешь? Пусть попробуют. Мы уже много слышали, что Запад хочет воевать с нами до последнего украинца. Это трагедия для украинского народа. Но, похоже, все к этому и идет. Но все должны знать, что мы-то, по большому счету, всерьез пока еще ничего и не начинали. При этом мы не отказываемся и от мирных переговоров. Но те, кто отказывается, должны знать, что чем дальше, тем сложнее им будет с нами договариваться.
Well, I'll let you gather your own opinion on that versus hearing just mine. Posturing. Fear, terrorism. Did you guys notice that it's very similar to the same kind of talk that you will hear on Večer, which is Solovyov and, you know, all the nut jobs in Moscow, the propagandists, which no matter, I don't care what the world says, they're powerful in Russia, period. That's why I share them occasionally and will be sharing them in just a moment to close this program. Putin makes bold statements to the world. He said that the West started the war and that Ukraine is guilty of the genocide in Donbass, and you want to beat us on the battlefield? Go ahead and try. And then he said, we haven't even taken this seriously yet. Just try us. Now, if you want to negotiate peace, we're still open to that, but the longer this goes on, the harder it will be to talk about it. That was not 3 months ago. That was today, speaking to his parliament leaders. Yeah. Okay. You're speechless after that. But he's direct. He's looking in the camera. We'll see. The gauntlet's been dropped. Well, last topic of the night. Well, Okay. I'm going to say this just one time. This program, an update each night, is about the war in Ukraine. Today, we had to cover a lot of topics. We had to talk about Boris Johnson and more on the Great Britain side. We've talked about, during the show, Biden and our administration selling oil to China. These are facts. We've talked about Turkey. We've talked about some politics in here tonight. But I'm going to have to take it one step further. Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't. Almond Joy's got nuts. Mounds don't. On the right, Solovyov. On the left, former President Donald Trump. This is not about Trump. This is not. I have his picture there. I haven't had his picture because he's not in office for 134 days. Tonight's the first time I've spoken about Trump. That's because Solovyov and the propagandists are talking about Trump. Now, I want to go back to the speech that Putin just made, or his statements. Did you notice how propaganda-y, I don't even know if that's a word, but propaganda-y it felt? He would make a joke or cut a smile or, okay, we haven't even started that yet. We're not even serious in the war. The same thing you would expect to hear from the propagandist. Where do you think they get it from? Of course, the Kremlin is directing it all. Well, tonight on Вечер, the evening propaganda mega program, I'll just let you watch it. Here you go.
Удивительно. Ну просто, когда смотришь, еще мне очень понравилось, когда Белый дом сказал, нам не дают шанса разговаривать. Мы не понимаем, нам никакого шанса не дают. Вы нам хотя бы подачу сделайте, чтобы мы захотели с вами говорить. А мы говорим, а мы не хотим. Ну это вы, может быть, хотите, а мы нет. Вы понимаете, что должны быть у Блинкина хоть шаг? А мы не хотим делать никаких шагов навстречу. Мы Трампа подождем. Трамп же тут всех напугал. Он как дал, так дал. Все, говорит, I'm coming back. Возвращаюсь, осень 22-го, а может быть раньше. Готовься. Трамп, конечно, красавчик. При этом, я вот что скажу, я глубоко убежден, что если был бы Трамп, то не было бы 24 февраля. Потому что Трамп бы не стал себя вести так абсолютно нагло, неуважительно, как себя вел Байден и его команда во время декабрьских переговоров. Нет. Байден же в этом плане принципиально отличался. Трамп вообще говорил, мне НАТО не нужно. Трамп ненавидит Украину, потому что именно Украина пыталась сделать все возможное, чтобы Трампа не выбрали.
Просто он наиболее адекватный, вот несмотря на всю свою внешность и то, как его критикуют, да, он наиболее адекватный нынешнему миру просто человек. Ну там еще парочку, так сказать, республиканцев есть.
Мне очень нравится говорить Трамп, 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 потому что те американцы, которые анализируют нашу пресс, у них сразу инфаркт миокарда. То есть это мы послание. Так что Трамп, 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 Трамп. Да. А вы все переживаете. Это драка.
Это драка.
А если это драка, то надо смотреть не что и как, а когда и кому. Был бы товарищ Сталин, но же сейчас вот такая революционная деятельность была бы развернута. Европа же бы сейчас уже тряслась. Прасса там была бы забастовка на забастовке и драки между разными волнами мигрантов. Мы бы тогда решали в Америке, да вообще. Там спичку поднеси, все вспыхнет.
Где можно навредить, надо вредить. Да. Мы свои фигуры тоже расставляем, мы тоже ждем. Мы ждем, когда рост цен, закрытие промышленности в Европе и в Америке, снижение уровня жизни тоже заставит местных граждан выйти на улицы и снести свои правительства. А причем в Америке это более-менее понятно, когда произойдет, в ноябре в Европе, ну посмотрим. Да.
Жестко.
Вы же с самого начала сказали, что надо подождать, потому что сейчас вот кризис возникнет у них и подымутся народные массы, свергнут.
Нет, ждать не надо, надо провоцировать.
Ждать-то как раз и не надо.
Ждать не надо.
Вот в чем вопрос.
Well, between Putin and Solovyov, you've had your nut show for the night. Here's the deal, folks. I'm just going to tell you straight. All that Russia wants to do is exactly what I said last night. And that is, come on, Gentilini, destabilize democracy. That's it. Did you really hear what they were saying? Of course, they're going to do all of that rambling and tactics. And even Solovyov says, we know you watch us. We know you watch us. Dum, 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 dum. Of course, that's what they're going to do. But there's something you have to pay attention to, and that is the destabilization. That is what the U.S.S.R. is about. And that is why the program tonight was called Back in the U.S.S.R. And that is day 134, and you're fully updated tonight. And I'll check it before going off the air here. Let's see. Kharkiv, Kramatorsk. That's your two major targets right now. Very active there at 4:49 a.m. in Ukraine. Guys, thank you for being here. I try to tell you the truth. I try not to go down politic holes of America, Great Britain, or any other country, and stay focused on Ukraine and educate the world. But I'm telling you, the U.S.S.R. is back, and their number one job is to destabilize the world. Make no mistake about it. In their mind, in the Kremlin, they really think they can rule the world. There you go. You have it. Continue to pray for Ukraine, and we will see you in 23 hours. Thank you, guys. All of you tonight. Great night. Everybody working together, communicating, chatting. We've got people on the ground in Great Britain, Ukraine, Philippines, Canada, and even Greenville, PA. Be blessed. We'll see you 23 hours.